everyone for your patience in joining us tonight.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Michaela Powell, and I'm the Program Compliance Director with the Early Learning Coalition. Also with me is Ms. Lily Howard, who is the Professional Development Manager and is going to assist me with tonight's presentation. We're going to talk about the school health and safety standards. We would like to ensure that you all understand the revisions that were made by the Division of Early Learning, and we are here to answer any questions that you may have. If there is a question asked and we do not respond here tonight, please know that we are not ignoring you and we will have to research and follow up with you. This presentation is being recorded. A copy of the presentation, the rule, the health and safety handbook, as well as the checklist will be all made available to you. We are not going over the entire handbook. We are just going to highlight some of the areas. As outlined on our agenda, we would like to go over Rule 6M-4.620, Health and Safety for School Readiness Providers, discuss what is new in the Health and Safety Standards Handbook, and talk about the enforcement terms of the statewide school readiness provider contract. Okay. Rule 6M-4.620, Health and Safety for School Readiness Providers. All school readiness providers must address basic health and safety of their programs and facilities and allow the Department of Children and Families the ability to inspect all program premises, including access to facilities, personnel, and records, to monitor and verify compliance with school readiness health, safety, and training standards. This means that you must allow the Division of Early Learning, DCF, and coalition staff immediate access to the facilities and spaces used to offer the school readiness program during normal business hours. In your school readiness contract that you entered into with the coalition, you agreed to provide a healthy and safe environment for children that you care for. Annual inspections will be unannounced and take place within the year at a time determined by DCF. The coalition cannot tell you when DCF will be coming out.
All right. Good beginnings equal great endings, folks.
Any issue of non-compliance identified by DCF will be forwarded to the Early Learning Coalition for corrective action, probation, or termination in accordance with enforcement procedures outlined in the School Readiness Handbook and statewide school readiness provider contract. We will discuss non-compliance issues and enforcement later during the presentation. Does anyone have any questions at this time?
And I'm checking the chat. And so far, I don't see any questions. No, ma'am.
Okay, what's new? DEL has simplified the process and has condensed all three handbooks into one handbook. The handbook is intended to be used by school readiness providers in conjunction with school readiness program health and safety checklists and DCF handbooks and classification summaries for monitoring compliance with the program standards. Nothing identified in the handbook will exempt school readiness providers from adhering to additional health and safety and/or training requirements required by DCF. DCF is designated as the inspection authority for school readiness programs. The handbook has been revised to update any outdated language and align with DCF's health and safety requirements. They have added pediatric first aid and CPR components to required training to comply with Child Care and Development Fund Subsidy Program requirements and new health and safety courses. Okay. All school readiness providers must adhere to ratio requirements and minimum square footage requirements at all times while children are in care. Shown is a summary of the ratio, group size, and active credential requirements for facilities. Okay, some reminders regarding the group size requirements. Group size does not apply during times of outdoor play, dining, special assemblies, events, or napping and sleeping, provided that ratio and applicable square footage requirements are maintained at all times. Okay, shown is the family daycare home requirements for ratio and group size. A family daycare home is allowed to provide care for one of the following groups of children, which includes household children under 13 years of age. So if you have a family daycare home and you do have children that live in the home under the age of 13, they are included within your ratio size. It basically shows you you have a maximum of 10, but it's based on the number of children you have and the ages. Okay, any questions on ratio and group size?
Check in. Nope, looks like so far no questions. Okay.
Okay, so training requirements. Anyone that has direct care of children are required to complete the trainings. If you have anyone listed as other personnel, if they at any time fill in for classroom child care personnel, and are in direct care of children, they are required to have the training. So if you have a bus driver, a cook, an office person, if they do not have direct care of children, they do not have to have the training. But if they are filling in the classroom, breaking in the classroom, then they need to have the classes. Pre-service training refers to the training requirements completed prior to unsupervised contact with or care of children participating in the school readiness program or within 90 days of employment at a program facility. Okay, the time frame does not start over if personnel change employment to another school readiness provider within the initial 90 days. All child care personnel must complete the pre-service training requirement within the 90 days of initial employment with any school readiness provider. So the child care personnel cannot switch. The time does not start over if they leave your facility and go to another facility. They would have to have the training within the 90 days. The clock does not start over for them. Okay, so for slides 10 and 11 for training courses in the Health and Safety Standards Handbook, pages 7 through 9, there is a breakdown of the courses that need to be completed. You must successfully complete one of these following training courses: the Health and Safety and Nutrition, Identifying and Reporting Child Abuse and Neglect, Child Growth and Development, and Behavioral Observation and Screening. It has to be DCF approved, online or in-person childcare training with a weighted score of 70 or better. Okay, and they have new health and safety courses. It's health and nutrition in the school readiness program, safety practices in the school readiness program. They are currently being developed and will be available January 1st, 2024. All school readiness childcare personnel must complete the 2 new health and safety courses by June 30th, 2024, and they will count towards the annual in-service training. Okay, are there any questions in reference to the trainings?
Bring it on, y'all. I'm ready. I'm looking. And I don't see any questions at this time.
Okay, so enforcement. All issues of noncompliance will be referred by DCF to the Early Learning Coalition for enforcement in accordance with provisions of the school readiness contract. DCF will complete your inspections. DCF forwards the inspections to the coalition, and then any violations issued by DCF, coalition takes enforcement. Keep in mind, you have progressive enforcement from DCF based on any violations received, and then you have disciplinary actions by ELC based on any health and safety violations received during your inspections. The coalition must take into consideration the actions taken by the provider to correct the violation when determining the appropriate disciplinary action as provided for the statewide school readiness provider contract. So Class 1 violations. Class 1 violations are more serious in nature. They pose an imminent threat to a child or could result in death or serious harm to the health, safety, and well-being of a child. For your first and second violation, the provider contract must be placed on probation not to exceed 6 months. For any subsequent and accumulated violation of the same Class 1 standard, or for failure to comply with the terms of probation, the Early Learning Coalition must consider terminating the provider's contract. So any Class 1 violation after the first and second violation, or if you do not comply with the terms of the probation, then we must consider terminating your contract. If the provider is cited with a Class 1 violation, the coalition may refuse to contract with the provider or revert the provider's eligibility for a period of 5 years. Any questions on Class 1 violations?
Let me take a look. Okay, I don't see any questions at this time, so we're going to continue to move on.
Okay, so for your Class 2 violations, they are less serious in nature than Class 1 and could be anticipated to pose a threat to health and safety or well-being of a child. The first violation, this is new for the health and safety. So for your first violation of a Class 2, you will receive technical assistance. So once we receive the inspection and if you receive a Class 2 violation, it's your first violation, we will forward the information, the compliance department will forward the information to our quality department, and they will reach out to you in reference to giving technical assistance. For your second violation of the same Class 2 standard, corrective action notice will be issued by provider to provider. Provider has 7 days or within the time frame recommended by DCF. So once we receive the inspection, if you receive a second violation, DCF typically gives you a time frame to complete whatever non-compliance you have. So we will look at that. If they give you 10 days, then we will give you 10 days. We will either give the 7 days or the 10 days as far as DCF recommends. The third violation of the same Class 2 standard or failing to comply with the corrective action notice, then you would go on probation not to exceed the 6 months. Any subsequent and accumulated violations of the same Class 2 standard, the coalition must consider termination of the school readiness contract. So after the third violation of a class 2 within the same standard, then that's when we must consider termination of your school readiness contract.
But you have such awesome technical assistance available, we'll never get that far. So you be sure to, because the quality department is here to support you. We want to see you guys succeed. And I don't see any questions, so we're going to go ahead and continue.
Okay, this still is with class 2 violations. If a school readiness provider receives a combination of 4 or more different class 2 violations within the same contract year, the Early Learning Coalition may place the provider on a corrective action plan if the coalition concludes the corrective action plan will solve the failure to comply. So this means if you have multiple class 2 violations, 4 or more, but they are under different standards, then you would be placed on a corrective action plan. If a school readiness provider receives a combination of 5 or more different class 2 violations within the same contract year, the Early Learning Coalition may place the provider on probation. For subsequent and accumulated violations of the class 2 standard or failing to comply with the terms of probation, the coalition must consider terminating the school readiness provider's contract. So if you receive more than 5 violations under the class 2 standards, but different standards, but they are all class 2 violations, and you fail to comply with the terms of the probation, then we must consider terminating your school readiness provider contract. Any questions in reference to class 2 violations?
Taking a look. I don't see any questions at this time. Okay.
So for class 3 violations, they are the less serious in nature than the class 2 or the class 3 violations and pose a low potential for harm to children. The first and second violation of a class 3 standard equals technical assistance must be provided. Again, the compliance department will reach out to our quality department, and the quality department will reach out to the provider to provide technical assistance on any non-compliance that you receive to help you stay within the compliance for the health and safety standards. The third and fourth violation of the same class 3 standard equals a corrective action notice. The sixth and seventh violation of the same class 3 or failure to comply with the corrective action notice equals probation status not to exceed 6 months. Any subsequent and accumulated violations of the same class 3 standard or failing to comply with probation equals the coalition must consider terminating the provider's contract. So keep in mind, as stated before, these are the disciplinary actions taken by the coalition. You will have progressive enforcement based on your class 1, 2, or 3 violations with DCF.
Okay, and I'm just checking to see if we have any questions. Does anybody have any questions or need an example? I'm looking. Okay. This PowerPoint will be made available through Constant Contact, yes. Absolutely, and the recording. Thank you for asking, Mr. Delkamp. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and we'll continue.
Okay, this is also a part of the Class 3 violation. If the school readiness provider receives a combination of 6 or more different Class 3 violations within the same contract year, then you will, the provider will, on a correction action plan, you will be on a corrective action plan.
Okay. So that means they can be in different standards, but still class 3?
Correct.
Is that what that means?
Right. If they're different, multiple Class 3, but not under the same standard. But if it's a combination of 6 different ones, then they will be on a corrective action plan.
Okay. All right. That answers that question. Thank you so much. Here we go.
So probationary status is a status indicating provider school readiness contract is in jeopardy of being terminated or not renewed due to violations of school readiness program standards. The coalition must notify provider in writing of the terms of probation timelines for compliance. Termination and revocation of eligibility refers to a school readiness provider inability to offer the school readiness program due to contract termination by the Coalition for Health and Safety violations cited by DCF. The Early Learning Coalition has the right to terminate a school readiness provider's contract for cause at any time pursuant to the statewide school readiness provider contract. The coalition has the right to revoke a provider's eligibility for health and safety violation for a period of 5 years. For the termination and revocation, we do not want to get to this point. That's why the technical assistance is provided to you, and the progressive enforcement from DCF, and we try to work together to try to assist you so that we do not get to the point of termination and revocation of eligibility.
Absolutely. We definitely want to help you reach your potential because you guys are essential, and we're here to support you any way we can.
Okay, so do we have any additional questions in reference to the health and safety handbook? The additional information will be provided. You'll have we did not cover the full handbook, but touch on some issues that we see as far as the training requirements and things of that nature that are received within your inspections that you receive from DCF.
Okay, so we do have a question, and it is there a method of contesting DCF accused violations for those of us who are not licensed by DCF? So this is coming from an exempt provider.
They're contesting a DCF violation as far as if the DCF are called because they don't get the typical inspections, correct?
That would be correct. Is there a method of, as an exempt provider, is there a method of contesting DCF accused violations for those that are not licensed by DCF, that are exempt providers?
Yes, I mean, if the licensing person comes out and they give you a non-compliance, I know on the inspection it has a space for the provider, director, or owner to have any statements, and you can state that you do not agree with the non-compliance. Typically, they take it back to the office and they review it with their supervisor, and then they'll go from there. As far as when they send it to us, we would, if we are known that you have contested the violation, then we would hold off on any of our disciplinary actions until we receive information from DCF advising that they either, if it was a class 1, if they put it to a class 2, or if they took off the non-compliance, based off of you, or any additional information that you provide to them if you don't agree.
Okay, and we have some input here from Miss Latricia Sims. You are self-muted. If you would like to speak, you can unmute yourself.
You hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, Miss Latricia Sims.
Hi, everyone. I just also wanted to add to Michaela's insight on the exempt providers. They would need to get with DCF if they have a violation and they wish to contest it. The coalition only follows the inspections that are sent over by DCF. But in the case that DCF rescinds the violations after they have sent the inspections to us, then we would rescind the non-compliance issue. So I hope that I answered that question.
Okay, and let's take a look. Did that answer your question, sir? I see no other. Okay. Okay, so there is a comment, and we will definitely address that comment, sir. I'm going to write that down. Thank you very much. Is there any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your questions and your comments. Mr. Delcamp will definitely get back to you after the training. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now at this time. I thank you